Welcome back to Spirit Portal. Thank you for being here today with me. I am Erica. I am your host, and I hope I am finding you all well and managing the craziness of this world right now with whatever grace you can find, with whatever love in your heart you can share with the world, and experiencing goodness and being a part of the goodness and kindness that we can share with others as we see so many people are struggling. Often I've been realizing that just sharing a smile to someone on the street, a stranger on the street, is something that connects me to another voice of humanity. And I do believe that those small acts of kindness are contagious. And so, if there's any inspiration for you today, the small acts of kindness that we can do for each other as human beings who are often struggling in this world, like let's lift each other up in the ways that we can control, because it does seem like so many things are out of our control right now. And the small wins are real wins. So I hope that you have beautiful acts of kindness done to you, and I hope you can share that and pass it on. And I send you love wherever you may be. Today, I've been thinking about loneliness, and I've been thinking about the loneliness that I experience in mediumship. And it's interesting because it's such a path of great reward. It's filled with deep challenges, and the understandings that come through of the universe are like no other that I've experienced before. However, there's this weird paradox of being so deeply connected to the world of spirit and to the universe and feeling so lonely at times in the world as a human. And I think at the beginning of our spiritual journey, we talk about this, kind of the feeling of, gosh, I feel weird. I'm going to hide who I am. And kind of coming out of the spiritual closet, which we can talk about a little bit more. But there's something to when you are years down your path and full on working as a medium, thriving as a medium, loving this world of spirit that we step in and out of, where there's a point of loneliness. And for me, I've talked so much about how stepping into doing this work, I realized I had this whole other support system in the spirit world. And that is true. That has not changed. The support system in the spirit world is profound. And yet, they want you to live and thrive in being human, because that's why we incarnated here, to have this full body experience of joy, of pain, of evolution, growth, experiencing the cycles of death and rebirth. And the joys and the sufferings of human living is where we expand and grow in our hearts. And so we are here for a reason, and it is not to bypass humanity, as I've talked about many times. However, sometimes it can be really lonely because, well, I guess that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about some of the uncomfortable stuff that does happen when you are constantly going back and forth between spirit and human life. One of the things that happens is when you work in the spirit world, when you do readings, when you communicate with when you communicate with the trees and the spirits of the land like I do. And I'm all of this is going to be from my perspective, because obviously that's all I know. And so if you don't relate to this, blessings on you. And if you do, I'm your community. But when you communicate with the spirit world, which is so beautiful, which is this frequency of love that is different than anything I've experienced. And when you communicate with the mountains and the trees and the true keepers of the land and the spirits of the land, there's this energetic upliftment. There is this resonance that comes into your life that one you crave more of because it feels good. It's like getting a glimmer and a glimpse of a home right? Say you're traveling and you're living in a foreign country for 6 months, and one of your friends sends you a package of all of your favorite foods and things that makes your life easier and memories of home, and you get that nostalgic feeling, that homesick feeling. Well, that's what I feel like sometimes when I do mediumship, or when I am meditating, or when I'm on a hike and I'm talking to my friends in spirit. I feel this saudade. I feel this nostalgia. I feel this memory of home, and it kind of lingers. It kind of stays with me um, throughout my days, and it's hard because not really that many people understand that feeling that I'm experiencing. Maybe a couple that I talk to, but it's hard to put that kind of homesickness into words, especially when my life as a human is so good, right? I have an amazing family that I absolutely love and thrive being with. And I live in the most beautiful outdoor state of Colorado, and I experience like a vibrancy in life I don't want for food. I don't want for love. I don't want for shelter. I'm in all aspects extremely lucky, and I do not take one bit of that for granted. And that's why I am a fighter for other human rights, for other people around this globe. But that desire and that wanting of source of home, where we came from and where love flows so freely, is a real feeling. It's a real aspect that I hadn't really had the ability to put it to words, what this sense of longing that I experience is. And it does affect how I am at play in the world, because I can go back and forth between the spirit realm and, the super grounded human experience. Not everybody does that. And like, I do fully believe that everybody has the ability and can do it if they choose to, but not everybody does, or believes it, or even understands or knows it. And so there's a loneliness in that feeling that I experience, that I carry with me all the time. Mediumship does affect relationships. Um, I have a husband who is absolutely wonderful. He's very grounded in his human life. And I think that that's a very good thing for me, to be honest, because it really brings me back full force into my body, into this role of experiencing life outside of transcending into the spirit world, right? And again, like I said, that is what we are here to do. I know that my calling is to be a person who walks between worlds, but if I had a partner who is like me, I think it could be kind of dangerous and kind of escapism. And I don't want that. I want to embody my life. But it does take a toll on a marriage. It does take a toll, I'm trying not to sneeze, in a partnership, because probably because of that loneliness that I just spoke of, but also because I am carrying things that are unseen, right? I am carrying the weight of other people's loss. And no matter what kind of energetic hygiene I do, or no matter what kind of ways that I release energy that isn't mine to carry and get grounded in my body and enjoy being, whether it's going dancing or hiking or grabbing coffee with friends or out for dinner with my husband or something like that, I'm still carrying the stories of other people. You can't unsee, unhear, or unfeel things. And if you're a first responder, or as a nurse like I am working in a hospital, or as a paramedic, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. When you experience someone else's death, or the trauma of their passing, or the grieving and the loss of someone's loved ones, you can't unsee it. And so in my work on a daily basis, I experience deep grieving, deep loss, and often see traumatic visions of how people passed, or feel how they felt at the time of their passing or through their life. Like that is my job and I love doing it, but I can't unsee it. And so I also do carry those stories with me all the time. And I'm constantly doing work to have energetic hygiene and to release that. But just like a first responder understands, probably even to a much higher degree as a nurse, I experience death a lot. Um, you can't unsee anything, no matter what you do to make it go away. I still think about readings that I've done for people and working as a medium, often when I'm channeling spirit, I only remember snippets, but the snippets I remember stick with me. And so I'm carrying that weight as well. And nobody really wants to hear about it. It's not fun to listen to. It's not fun to talk about if you're not in the world. And so, in the world of mediumship. Um, and there are various reasons, and I understand what those reasons are. And I've talked about it on different podcasts, episodes. And some of those reasons are it's like listening to someone else's dream and you're not a part of it. It's not that entertaining. Or if they can't fix it for you, they don't want to hear about it. Or it just feels like such a foreign experience to do this work as a medium. And so when other people hear about it, it feels maybe a little bit scary or a little bit doubting, even. It definitely affects the way that I operate in the world because now I feel so sensitive. And you already know, if you're a listener, that I am very sensitive. But when you do this work and you recognize that life can change in the blink of an eye, and I'm constantly being shown how it does change in the blink of an eye when people pass unexpectedly, especially, you walk through the world in a much lighter, more tender way. And we live in this world, at least in the country that I live in the society that I live in, is very fast. It's very aggressive. It's very judgmental and it's harsh. And so when everything feels so tender for me, and I have to be in this world of such divisive, kind of abrupt and abrasive energy, it feels jarring. And so you hold your cards close. Um, you, I have a very large, beautiful community and beautiful circle of friends, but I have a very small group of trusted people that I share my feelings with because it's almost too much to be really expansive in the human world when I'm so expansive in the spirit world, but also when I feel so strongly human emotions and loss. And sometimes it feels like, gosh, I'm a very intense person and my intensity might be too much. And so I really only share some of that depth with people that I know that can really hold it safely in their heart and hold it safely in their soul for me and with me, and that I can trust. But when you're in a partnership or a marriage, you have so many logistics in day-to-day life that you need to manage. And you have so many things. If you have children, there's just so much management. And so often, some of that vulnerability and some of that emotional space stays inside of me instead of going into my conversations because it's almost too big to bring out. And when there's so many logistics of being human, you just don't share it all. And so I know that that is a choice, but it's also just a part of reality. And if you're a medium, gosh, I would love to hear if you experience this and you feel this yourself. And and if you carry this weight in this weird way, like I do. Um, but there's also this aspect of friendship that has been surprising with other mediums. There's like this push and pull in relationships with other mediums because one, there's an understanding that we all have, and two, there's still in this mediumship world, and I'm just going to speak really honestly, there's so much judgment of other mediums, or of stepping on someone's toes, or this weird aspect of competition. And I just don't feel that. I've gone through phases where a couple of people have really hurt my feelings about things, and or I felt a little bit yeah, judged or misunderstood by another medium. But I really also recognize that I really respect other mediums that I trust, even the medium that kind of hurt my feelings. I deeply respect that person and that person's abilities as a medium. Um, but there is sometimes this judgment that comes out in mediumship. And I do think some of it is because of the intensity of the work that we're doing. And I don't think it's really talked about enough. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, is when you are a medium who really takes reverence and value in this depth of the spirit world and the sanctity of what we're trying to do in our work, there is an intensity that we all carry. And at the same time, we have to go back and forth between worlds, and we want to enjoy our lives because we know how precious it is. But going back and forth between worlds does carry a toll. The challenge of it is huge, and it's not talked about enough. Because when we're doing mediumship work, we're so hard on ourselves, because if you're a good medium, and I do say this with judgment, I'll be honest, if you're a good medium, you want to do the best that you can for every client. You are not in it for the money. You are in it because you are a healer, and you are in it because you know the value of helping people remember that life continues on, that there is more to this experience on this planet than meets the eye. If you are a good medium, you are doing it for that reason. And I totally lost my train of thought of where I was going with it. But if you are a good medium, there is an energy that you hold and that you carry. And yet at the same time, you have to be human. You have to go back and do the dishes. You have to go back and pay your bills. You have to go back and be a good friend and loyal and show up and feel pain and continue to live life, even though that everything can change in the drop of a hat. In one heartbeat, everything can be different. And so there's a weight to it, and there's an energy to it. And when we don't talk about it enough, what happens is we become edgy. We become confused about why we feel heavy, and we put that energy onto someone else, maybe as a responsibility. Well, that person was like that to me. And it's a very human thing. But we are different than others, and we're told that being different isn't good, that we're different than others, but we're not special. And that's the thing. We're not special, but we are different. Not everybody lives between multiple realms of existence and reality. And it's a hard place to walk. It's like walking on a tightrope all the time. And so there is a weight and an energy to it that is not discussed enough. So I guess I just wanted to talk about how I feel sometimes, and put it out there in the realm of community. If you are on this path and you feel this way, I would really love to hear about it for you. The way that I support myself in this journey is going to be unique to me, but the way I support myself in this journey is physical exercise. Physical exercise is so deeply embodying. And so it really helps me get into a place of breathing heavy, feeling my heart pumping, feeling grateful for my health, breathing in, sucking in fresh air and vitality, helps me become incredibly grounded on the earth. And having deep reverence for Mother Earth, of course, that's like going to be what I do to get grounded. Music and dancing and singing, and I'm a horrible musician, but I like to play guitar a little bit, but even just humming and singing makes me feel human in this beautiful community type of way. I love kirtan. I love Bob Dylan. I love Led Zeppelin. I love, Gregory Alan Isaacoff, but like singing and feeling people's emotions and sorrow and joy and pain and pleasure through music makes me feel like I'm a part of a community that channels and understands each other. Having other friends that are mediums can be very helpful. I don't have any close friends that are mediums. I have acquaintances and people that I deeply respect and people that I find have very soft, beautiful hearts, but most people don't live near me. And so I don't have that community. Um, but being a teacher, is amazingly empowering because that is one thing I'm trying to instill with my students, some of whom are local and are becoming friends, but is to create a community around themselves and to normalize the fact that this tightrope walk that we do is special. It is unique. And there is going to be challenges in it that we need to talk about and support each other through and not kind of like sweep under the rug because we're trying not to be special. Because honestly, this place that we are in is kind of like a circus act. We are like, that person, swinging through the air on the uneven bars. No, that's gymnastics, but like in the circus or walking on the tightrope between worlds. And we do take it so seriously that the pressure of falling or of doing a bad job is heavily weighed. Sometimes I come out of readings and it was like the most beautiful reading and connection. And I'm forever changed from just what the person in spirit brought forth for healing for their loved one here. It changes me every single time. And I can't really talk about it because number one, those readings are private. And number two, how do you explain that to someone? How do you explain to someone that I was just touched through the most beautiful spirit, through the energy of the other side, shining through them, through me to their loved ones? How do you explain that to someone who's not a medium without putting yourself on a pedestal or making yourself feel more special than you are? Because we're not, it's almost like walking through a rainbow after a storm. It's happenstance. And yet I've trained my whole life for it. I don't even know how to explain it, but there is a loneliness and a nostalgia to it. So going back to how I care for myself, deep physical exercise in nature is my number one. My number two is when I feel really emotional or really vulnerable, whether it's from a reading or whether it's from missing home, and home meaning like where we all come from, where we all belong after this experience here, or whether it's just feeling the weight of the world around me, is allowing myself to be vulnerable and to share it with someone that I trust in the moment. And that is one of the biggest things on this path, is finding people that you trust, that won't judge you, and that will hold space for you even if they don't understand it. And I have best friends and my husband, and not everybody is always going to be in the right place to receive. And so sometimes it might be trusting someone in a moment and they can't handle it, but giving them the grace and giving them the space to still hold space for me, even if they can't understand. And that takes some wisdom on my part, and understanding that just like I don't understand that someone else's journey and what it means to them and some of the hardships that they've gone through and some of the beauty that are the hardships, like we can't understand everybody's journey, but we can give them grace and space to share it with us. And if you are a mediumship student, or if you are a medium, or if you are someone who loves a medium or is friends with a medium, just recognize that like just being there and making them feel loved and safe to just be their weird little selves really does matter. And I feel like in many ways, I've gone from being such a social butterfly to really spending a lot of time alone. And I do need to be called out of my little cocoon, just like just like anybody else. And this path of mediumship is one of the most beautiful journeys I've ever experienced. I'm forever changed. I'll never be the same person that I was. And thank God my husband still loves me, because I'm the one who's changed a lot in this marriage. I really have. And yet I am still the same lighthearted, fun-loving person. But it's like I said earlier, you can't go back to unsee, to unfeel, to unknow all of the things that have transpired as you are doing this work. And one question I get asked is, would you do it all over again? And 100%. My reality has shifted and opened and expanded to such meaning that I would 100% do this all over again. I am a better person on this planet because of this path I've been on. And also, no path is going to be all rainbows. It's not going to be all butterflies. And spiritually awakening and stepping into these abilities is unbelievable and unbelievably vulnerable. And so I guess that's just what I wanted to talk about today, is this journey that we're on. And there is no pedestal to be put on or to put someone else on who's doing this work, because like anything that requires great sacrifice, there is great reward, and great reward also equals great sacrifice. And so if you are on this journey, I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for listening, and I appreciate you.